move on to the Houston Cougars. Fanta, how do you beat Houston? What's the key there, and why do the Cougars suck?
They don't. But if they were to have a bad day, it's because you are matching, if not exceeding, which is hard to do, their physicality and their defensive ability. You cannot let the way that they play defense against you affect then your mentality towards the game. Too many teams get frustrated and they wear down, and it's over. It ends up being over before it gets started. Now, in the Big 12, as the year's gone on, you guys are seeing it. Some of these teams and coaches they've become conditioned to playing Houston. So they know what it takes. Not every neutral court team on the other side of that knows what it takes. But what you also have to do is you've got to be within 9 points of their threes. So this year, Kelvin has I think his best pure shot-making team in terms of weapons. He's had one guy. This year, he really has three. He does, between L.J. Cryer, Milos Uzan, and Emmanuel Sharp. At any one time, those guys can really knock down some tough shots. I think you got to find a way to contain Cryer. Like, you have to make Cryer play a tough game, because if that kid's in rhythm and he's hitting step backs and off the dribble, man.
What he did against Iowa State was absurd in the second half. It was absurd.
I mean, that's really tough, man. You can't. You're not going to beat them if he's doing that. So you got to give them a taste of their own medicine. You got to extend pressure, and you have to find a way to stay composed in the game, because they're going to try to rough you up. Like, that's just what they do. They want to shut you down and make it a total mudfest and just give you hell. That's what they want to do for 40 minutes. You can't fall into the trap then and then have that dictate how you defend them. Too many teams, T.O., they get frustrated playing Houston. And then they forget that Houston's got Cryer, Sharp, and Uzan, and that when one of those guys starts to get cooking, they've got the formula to have success. So you also got to box out. Like, you can't. If Juwan Roberts is the best front court player, we just mentioned the guards. You're in for a very long night. Tough team, but it's a mental game for me, Terrence. When you're playing Houston, it's right here. You got to be ready for the war.
Yeah. Yep. Here's the microcosm. The opposing teams against Houston in conference play shoot 68% from the free throw line. What does that tell you?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, they are exhausted by the time they freaking get there. Here's my thing, and all that's right, John. If I were coaching a team, I'd be like, unless you absolutely have to, or you have an absolute drive to the lane, do not freaking dribble that ball. Do not dribble the ball. Like, you get your point guard across half court, you get it to the wing. If you put the ball on the deck, you're just going to disrupt every bit of timing that we have, because you don't pick it up quick enough to get to the next pass.
So would you simulate that in practice if you were a coach? Like, would you?
I'd be like, hey, dude, like, this is what's going to happen. We're going to put like long wings, like pool noodles. We're going to put pool noodles on our walk-ons and our scout team, and they're going to get out there and they're just going to pressure with pool noodles because they have wingspans for days and they are able to pressure. There's no way to simulate that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Duct tape pool noodles to your hands, play some freaking defense. That's where I'm at with my walk-ons right now. Another thing, if you put the ball on the ground, they get up and they push right away. As soon as they see you put the ball on the ground, they get up and they pressure and they push. And what happens is guys have to bounce, turn their back, and then try to get back into their offensive flow. You can't dribble the basketball. Like, you have to have elite screening away from the ball. Your cutting has to be sharp, and it's not easy because Houston's so physical off the ball as well that they just push you off your spots and off your cuts. So you have to play off the ball offensively extremely tough, and you have to limit your dribbles on the wing because you just disrupt your own timing if you put the ball on the deck. And it's hard to run any offense because of that.
Yep. I think the two biggest things is kind of elaborating on your point. Like, you cannot turn the ball over. You have to get a shot on every possession against them. You cannot turn the ball over, especially live ball turnovers. And the other thing you cannot do is let them get second chance opportunities. Minimize the number of possessions that they're going to get, because part of what makes them so efficient, according to the metrics, T.O., is not that they're getting the best shots. What's your favorite thing to say? How many possessions are they scoring on? And they score on a lot of possessions because they get second chance opportunities and because they're able to create turnovers and get layups out of it. If I will live if I have my best perimeter defender forcing LJ Cryer into tough step backs. If I get beat with LJ Cryer hitting step backs when I'm cleaning the offensive glass and I'm not turning the ball over, that's one of those ones you just tip your cap to him and say, listen, man, you were great today. Same thing with Milo's Uzan. When he's coming off those screens, if he's hitting those little 12-foot floaters, you make it as difficult as possible. But to me, you live with those. You live with Jawan Roberts getting to his left hand and you make those shots.
That's what scares me about Houston, though, too. Like, I was sitting there watching him play Iowa State. I was like, there's a lot of freaking step back jumpers being taken.
Yes.
A lot of them. They can hit them, but that's a hard shot to hang your hat on. LJ Cryer can make them, but like if you just contest, it's hard.
I'll live with him. If you're going to beat us with those shots, I'm going to make them as difficult as possible and get every single one of those misses when you do miss. And to me, that's just kind of what you have to do with them.